Alrighty, so the first MCU movie for the year has dropped, Ant-Man 3, and a good question was brought up to me. Are fans feeling burned out on the MCU? That's a really good question. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. If this is your first time here, welcome. If at any point you like what you hear, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you know anytime we upload any new videos. Also be sure to hit that thumbs up button, as that really helps us out. So with that said, let's jump right on into what today's video is about. So Antman and The Wasp: Quantumania came out this past weekend, and my cousin had brought up a really good question, and that's basically what spawned this entire video. He had asked, do I think that people are experiencing burnout from the MCU because Ant-Man hasn't been getting very good reviews. So I figure I'll just give my thoughts on his question in general and just my thoughts, overall on the subject. But I will start off by saying this. I don't really pay attention to reviews on a movie, especially comic book movies, as it pertains to critics, because for the most part critics have almost always hated on comic book movies and movies of that type for whatever reason, and yet audience scores usually are always good and they always do really well in the box office. So I'll just go ahead and say that a critic's review means absolutely nothing to me. I go in mainly looking for myself to see if I like it, or maybe some of my friends around me, and see what their thoughts are. That to me is more of an actual gauge as to how good a movie really is. So with that said, the short answer to the question, are fans feeling a little burnout from the MCU? Short answer is yes, I do think there are fans that are. It could be for a multitude of reasons. It could just be, the MCU has been around for so long. It could be people just aren't seeing the caliber of movie since Endgame that they knew from the MCU, which is what made it so popular. And those are definitely very good, valid reasons. The other one is some people just may think that the movies stink. So now, with all of that aside, I will give my personal thoughts on it. I'm not burned out on MCU movies. I do personally think that since Endgame, it hasn't been quite as good consistently. Even during that entire Infinity Saga, there were some movies in there that just were not that good. But that's with everybody. You're not going to like everything. But I would definitely say that more often than not, the MCU movies were a hit with me and maybe everybody else here on the channel. And then, like I said, since Endgame, it's been kind of like, you got the Black Widow movie, which was like, that was too little too late. I felt that character deserved a solo movie long before they did it. And I realized they tried to do it as a way to bridge a gap to the Hawkeye series and whatnot, to introduce her sister. But it just was There were, a couple of the other movies were but then you got the MCU shows, which I haven't watched all of them yet, but I did watch Loki, and I thought it was absolutely amazing. And then you've got like what they've done to Thor. Thor has become kind of a joke, and it sucks because I know Chris Hemsworth likes playing the character, but what the creative team and Taika Waititi did, you've turned him into kind of a bumbling idiot, and that's not what Thor is. You can go back and watch my review on Black Adam, and I said that movie is a really good example of how to take a very serious character and then add humor into the movie with other characters around him. Thor is, for all intents and purposes, a real badass. Very powerful, very tough in battle, and they just have not been giving him the love, especially after, for the most part, Endgame, give or take. And it kind of sucks to see. But you have had these movies that have been really good. I thought Shang-Chi was amazing. If for no other reason than just as a martial arts action film, it was really good. But then you got the comic book character part of it that also made it just that much better. But that movie really took me by surprise. I was excited to see it, but man, it blew away my expectations. Of course, Spider-Man 3 was probably the best movie that they've done since the original MCU series. For me, that probably is a top 3 or 4 of the MCU overall. I thought it was an absolutely amazing movie. And despite what some might think, I actually liked Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness quite a bit. I thought that was actually a really good movie. You could argue that it was, Scarlet Witch with Doctor Strange on the side, but that is what it is. But it was a good movie. Ant-Man I have not seen just yet. And I also haven't seen Black Panther 2. I am going to probably watch that here within about the next couple of weeks. It's just been super busy with everything outside of the channel. But I'm going to try to watch that and get more movie and show content kind of coming here. But for the most part, everybody I've heard has said that Black Panther 2 was really, really good. They did a really good job with Namor in trying to differentiate him for the MCU from Aquaman, because as I understand, for all intents and purposes, Namor is pretty much an Aquaman, just with a different name in the MCU, with a few differences, but nonetheless, they did a good job of differentiating him from Aquaman himself. So I'm excited to check that out because it's another new character. I want to see the tribute to Chadwick Boseman, may he rest in peace, just to see how that went, and also to see what they do with the Black Panther character. Ant-Man, I've always thought that the Ant-Man series so far has actually been one of their more solid deals. It may not always do the best at the box office, but the first 2 movies I thought have been at least consistently pretty darn good. And from what I understand, again, from people that I know, this movie has been pretty good. But yeah, I get why people can be burned out. They feel like, the writing and as much as we're getting, 3, 4, some odd movies a year, maybe they're getting a little burned out for it. My cousin even said maybe they should slow it down just a little bit, take more time to write and do the filming, to give you a better story and a better movie or TV show and whatnot. And that's always a good way to look at it. And for me, I can kind of agree with that, although having 3 to 4 movies a year is always something that I look forward to, because it's something to get excited about. Especially like this year, there's 10 or 11 movies between them and DC, and then a couple of indie movies. So it's always nice to look forward to that stuff every year. So selfishly, just because I just want something to watch, yeah, I want the 4 movies, but I get the other side of the coin. So I feel that if you are feeling the burnout, you are justified in it. I get it. But I think Marvel will right the ship with this phase, just because it feels like now they've got the plan for what they're doing kind of back on the tracks, so that they can really get rolling and get doing what they're going to do. I think some of the stuff like bringing in other bigger franchises like Fantastic Four, that's going to be a very telling thing. And see what they do with Tom Holland and Spider-Man again, more Doctor Strange. And I think they're doing Secret Invasion sometime in this, and how they do that, I think can really elevate the MCU back to where it was. Secret Invasion is an amazing storyline. I've kind of started to read it. I like it so far, but I'm definitely going to read the whole thing just so that I'm a lot more familiar with what they're going to do. Because now that Marvel has more of their characters back with them, like X-Men and stuff, they can do more with the movies. And by that I mean just more in general, and also be a little more comic accurate. Like if they had the characters that they have now when they did Civil War, it would look like an entirely different movie, because the book is absolutely nothing like what you saw in the movie for the most part. The closest thing you got is it was Captain America on one side and Tony on the other. But outside of that, it was actually very, very different for a lot of reasons. And anybody who's read Civil War will know what I'm talking about. So yeah, I know that was a bit of a ramble, but like I said, I just kind of wanted to answer that question, give my thoughts on it in just a very unbiased way. You know, I'm not personally burned out on the MCU. Do I think that they could get back to where they were? Absolutely. I really think that there's potential for that. And that's what I hope to see going forward. And we'll see how the rest of the movies for, you know, this year and, of course, the upcoming years go, especially knowing that DC is going to start their new universe in about 2 years, give or take. So I'm anxious to see how that pushes everything. With that said, I'm going to get out of your hair. I hope everyone has a great rest of their week. Please stay safe, stay healthy. I will catch you next time. Later, everybody.